Curatorial Knits, a knitting podcast about everything that I am making and thinking about as a art curator and knitter. I am super excited to be here today. It's episode 31 and it's everything that I made in 2024. So these are kind of my circa 2020X in this case videos. I've made one for 2023 and 2024. So this is my third one, my third outing. And it's really fun. I was actually going through some of my older videos, just kind of catching up on what I had made before. And I really love these. I am doing things a little bit differently. I took a bunch of B-roll of me in each sweater. So usually when I've done this before, I've actually tried things on while speaking about the pieces. And while I think that that's kind of fun, I honestly thought this would be just easier to hold the garment and then I'll have images of me trying them on so you can see the kind of look and the feel of them on a person, but I can still do the kind of two camera speaking this way in my usual spot, though not my usual setup. I'm super stoked. I have kind of organized my little corner, my knitting corner, if you will. Maybe I'll put a full photo over here now so you can take a look if you're interested. But basically, I am using my kids' old toddler table as a yarn winding station because I got a new Swift and a new ball winder for Christmas. And I wanted to set it up kind of nicely, and it's really fun. So now I have like a proper area for winding my yarn and also a little vignette, which I missed because I used to have my old videos, you can see there used to be a small bookshelf here because the bookshelf was able to contain all of my yarn and projects. And now I had to move to a big bookshelf, which is on the other side of this little table. So I wasn't able to have that little vignette moment and frankly, a better place to hold my tea. Oh, and before I forget what I'm wearing. So this is not from this past year. This is my sheep camp sweater. I absolutely love this piece. I'll include the details for this and the podcast where I spoke about this work down below. It's usually a 2-color colorwork sweater. I added a third color and I love it. It's probably one of my most worn pieces and it is from last year. I knit it for Rhinebeck 2023. So not last year, the year before. So how is this all gonna go down? I'm going to go through my knits from last year, 2024, in order of when I finished them, so starting in January and then going up till the very last week of December. And I will have, as I said, B-roll of me trying the garments on this side of the screen. And then also below, I will note the pattern, the designer, and the yarn that I used. All of that information is also down below in the description box. I think it's really valuable to have that information. I've also linked the podcast episodes where I've talked about each of those garments, so that should be helpful if you're looking for more details. And what's cool about putting the information on the screen is when I was looking back at my old, what I made each year videos, I noticed that YouTube automatically made chapters. So if there's a particular garment that you're keen to see or one that you think, oh no, I don't need to know as much about that piece, you can always look below in the description box again and find the ones you're looking for. And is there anything else? Oh, also, I have decided to be like a proper person in the world. Some of you know that I launched a pattern last year and I'm working on my next one. And in reaching out to testers about that pattern, I want to, and to kind of propose tests for folks, I'd love to have an email list. So if you'd like to join an email list for Curatorial Knits, I write newsletters already for my work life and I really love it. And so I will not be like this will not be a spammy, like, or even weekly kind of update email list, but if you'd like to know kind of what I'm up to and, you know, some of my favorite things that I found and random links on the internet, and also be notified of pattern discounts or tests that are upcoming, please do fill out the little link below. And there's also a description, kind of a little bit more about me, and then links to my Instagram and what else is in there? I made a little page. So it has the sign up for the email list / newsletter, the Instagram link, and and here, YouTube, but you're already here because you're already watching this. Awesome. Okay, so that's everything. Nuts and boltsy. Also to say that this is, I think the last 2 years, I believe I finished more garments than I did this year. That's fine, that's cool. It's not a race. And I'm saying that for me, but I'm also saying that for everybody else. I really don't do much else besides knit and work out and hang with my family. I really, like, it's a huge part of my life. And so I think we're basically ready to get into it. I wanted to note a couple things at the top. One thing that I talk about sometimes in my regular podcast episodes is working through and working with and trying to navigate a sense of perfectionism. I want to make sure that we understand something that I will probably talk about more in a normal podcast episode, but perfectionism is not the same as excellence, right? There's a lot of garments in here that are not perfect, but are totally excellent. And I'm also going to be really honest about garments that are perfect in the sense that they're perfectly written to pattern, and accomplished and full. And frankly, I don't think are that excellent. So I'm going to be really honest about my experience with the garments. I'm going to be really, hopefully, like, specific about what I like and what I don't like. And this is just one gal's opinion. And these are the pieces that I worked on this year. I think I would probably make different choices about some of them, and some of them were, you know, highlights of my whole year. And anything else? I guess, as always, there's a lot of knitting here. There's not as much as there was maybe last year or even the year before, and that's okay. And wherever you are with your knitting and your making, I hope that you'll find a way to share that with me in the comments below, in our community, on Instagram, or even just when you wear it and go to the grocery store, or throw on a hat that you made and, you know, walk out the front door on a morning walk. Whatever it is that you do to put your work out into the world, I just want to keep encouraging us all to do that. And with that, I think we're off to the races. So here we go. The first thing that I made last year, and here's my stack. It's quite nice. The first thing that I made last year was the Fortune sweater by Petite Knit. And this is a really lovely compound raglan sweater that has little lacework details. And I love this piece. You'll be seeing me kind of trying it on over here. I really like the weight of this. I knit it with one strand of lace weight mohair from Isager, or Isager, and then one strand of alpaca lace from the Explorer Knits and Fibers. And I really liked this combination because I got some of the shimmer that you get from that really shiny Isager mohair. It's really quite beautiful. But the alpaca at the same time is just super soft and also a little bit more muted. So it doesn't quite look like a marl. It looks fairly flat. Let's see. We're playing a little song and dance with the fog rolling in across the bay here. So bear with me. You might see some light changes a little bit. But in any case, I really, really love this piece. I wear it fairly often. I think it's a really nice transitional weight. I need to wear a blazer over it if I'm wearing it to work. I work at a contemporary art gallery in San Francisco, and I've worn it mostly with skirts, sometimes with jeans. I think I should wear this more. I think that it is a really lovely piece. It is, again, like, I can't wear it when it's too hot, and I can't wear it when it's too cold. It's kind of right there in the middle. And I got a special, or a specific, I shouldn't say special, it was nothing special. I think it was like a Nordstrom's, tank, that is a very similar color that I had the idea that I would wear underneath it. And guess what? I don't. It doesn't really need it. It's very, even though there are these open lace, I think they're supposed to be 4-leaf clovers. I think that's why it's called the Fortune sweater. But even with those, they're placed quite nicely and nowhere that really shows through. So I've been really happy with it. It's been a really great knit. I would highly recommend it. I said, I think when I finished it in the podcast where I speak about it as a finished object, that I would make it again and just use it as a really nice raglan construction at a solid gauge, and I would. I really, really like it, and I'd love to pull this out more often. So this was a nice one to kind of go back to and remember. Okay, the second finished object from January of last year is the Guernsey Gensler by Sandnes Garn, and this is in the Soft for Woman pattern book by Sandnes Garn. I have knit now 2 or maybe I think 3 things from this pattern book. It's really lovely, and it's still available, I believe, on the Mother Knitter website. I know it's a really popular book / catalog, and I hope you can see why. This sweater in particular is just a knockout. I get a ton of wear out of this piece. It is a all over textured sweater, drop shoulder. The one thing I think technically I would do better next time, my pickup along the shoulder I'm really happy with, but where the shoulder comes together with the arm, let me see if I can get that. That's just not, it's not bad. But again, I think I could have been more successful in that pickup. There's just a little kind of nub in there. I don't know. The kind of thing that no one else would notice, right? But I absolutely love this sweater. Again, I wear this a lot, especially in the wintertime. My workplace is very cold. And so this is just a really, really wonderful piece to wear that looks sharp. It looks not formal, but really put together and intentional. I mostly wear it with trousers, and I do have a white pleated knit skirt that I wore this with to a art fair last year, and I think it was a really successful outfit. So maybe I'll put a picture of that here as well. I made this out of Sandnes Garn Double Sunday and 1 strand instead of their Mohair, which I found really quite thick. I used 1 strand of Alpaca Pure, also from Sandnes Garn, and I really liked this combination. I think that if it had been more fuzzy, I wanted to see all of my stitch definition as clearly as possible, and I think that this worked out really, really nicely. So highly recommend. I also really like this colorway. The putty color is an off-white, but it's still quite cool and crisp. It doesn't feel muddy or too grayish. It's still clearly a white, but it has some tonality to it, so it's not super stark. So big, yeah, as you can see, it's pretty pilled at the bottom, but that's just because I wear this all the time. 10 out of 10, love the sweater. All right, next up, from 2 kind of knockouts, I have 2 coming up that frankly just were not. The first is the Mini Mock Neck Tank by Jessie May Designs, and I think I just picked the wrong size and or did something wrong. The armholes are just giant. They just don't work for me. And I've double checked and my row gauge was on, but this just doesn't make sense with my body type. I also feel like I should have known this like when I was knitting it. Like honestly, I should have like stopped here. This would have been a much more appropriate armhole depth, and it's not just a little bit, it's like 3 inches difference. So yeah, I'm a little bummed about this, especially because I love the actual knitting on it. I think it looks really, really beautiful. I have worn this a couple times over a white button down with a blazer on top, but I think I've only done that like twice since I completed it. So just, yeah, kind of a bummer. I have thought about what I would do to fix it, but it probably means frogging most of it. So we shall see if that actually happens. And if there is a way that I should go about moving forward with this piece, if anybody has any recommendations, please let me know. It's funny because I really liked it when I first finished it, and then I just feel like I didn't understand what I had done when I tried to wear it. I was like, oh, this is so cute. And then I put it on and I was like, how am I actually supposed to wear this garment? I don't understand. So this was, I'm almost certain, you know, execution error on my part, but I do think that I really love the collar. I think I did that quite nicely. And again, really enjoyed knitting this too. I knit it in 1 strand of the merino single, is that right? Yeah, Wandering Flocks merino single and 1 strand of Wandering Flocks mohair, both in the colorway Celadon. And again, I think it's just a beautiful piece that I did not do correctly or to my size or just isn't the right fit for me. Okay, another one that looks so good. I don't know. I genuinely, so I tried this on while filming the B-roll, and I don't know what it is. Like, it's exactly what I want it to be, and yet I never wear this sweater. I know my daughter is really into it. It is way too big for her yet, you know, right now, but I absolutely will give it to her in a couple years when it fits her better. She had tried it on last night and was wandering around in it because I had my stack of sweaters here on the chair, and yeah, she's almost there. But again, it could be that I'm just styling this wrong. I have worn this over again, I think white button down. I've worn it straight a couple of times. This is, sorry, I'll get to the point. This is the Lauder sweater by Rebecca Clow, or the Crea Bea. It is an all over V-neck cable knit sweater. The yarn is an amazing combination that I worked all out of stash, and I'm so happy with it. It was a Biche and Bouche Le Petite lamb's wool held with 1 strand of Magpie Fibers cashmere plume. Is that right? Yeah, plume cashmere, which is a really, really lovely combination. It is almost like, I mean, there is the lamb's wool and the cashmere from Biche and Bouche, but truly, like, I made myself a pink cabled cashmere sweater. Why am I not wearing this every single day? I just don't understand. I love the look of it. You can see how the cables kind of come down the center line here. I think that there's a lot of definition in my cables. The back has Rebecca's kind of signature shoulder construction that she also used in the Stick Season sweater, which was one of my favorite knits of the previous year, 2023. This was a test knit for her. Part of this is, I think, the sizing choice. So this is a size 2. I knit the size 3 in the Stick Season sweater, and I feel like it was a little bit big, and I wished that I had gone down. And I thought that because this was very similar construction, that the sizing would also be similar. It was not. So this size 2, I think, is much smaller. And it's not that it's so small in the body, but I feel like in the shoulders and the arms, maybe it's a little bit smaller. Honestly, I'm not sure what's going on for me in this piece. Maybe bringing it out and spending more time with it for this process will get me closer and back in love with it. We shall see. I'm not entirely sure, but I will tell you that it's beautiful and I want to love it. And there's something kind of holding me back from wearing it. It's just not something that I'm wearing that often. And again, like, I'm really proud of the stitch work. I think it looks super beautiful, especially on camera. I mean, that is popping. And what's cool about the Biche Bouche yarn as well is there's these little pops of bright fluorescent-y pink in it. I don't know if those are coming out. But yeah, it's just a really pretty thing. I don't wear that much. So just, again, this is going to be a very honest, declarative edition of this podcast. All right, next up, something I wear way more than I thought I would. It's my twig sweater by Junko Okamoto. This took me almost an entire year. I love wearing this piece. It is a fingering weight all over colorwork sweater. I knit the whole thing in 5 colors of a chic blend from Lavandula Designs. Is it Designs? Lavandula Yarns. Anyway, everything's down below. It is truly a great sweater that I feel really good every time I wear this sweater. Every time I wear this sweater, I feel put together. I feel accomplished because of the knit, but also it just feels like me. I just feel very myself in it. I did quite a few modifications, which I go into in the podcast episode, which is linked below. But basically, I took out 50 plus stitches, and it just makes it a more wearable garment for me. I love the fit of the original. I just wouldn't wear it as much. So it's a more traditional circular yoke fit. It doesn't go as wide in the shoulders or the body. The body is where I took out. The shoulders I took out just I think half a repeat, but the body I took out a full large repeat of this colorwork section, which was removed in the split for sleeves. And I'm frankly really happy that I did so because I think it makes it a more wearable garment for me. The other thing I did is I did sweater surgery and I fixed my collar. It still is not ideal, and if I were going to knit this again, I would have not knit the collar first. I would have just cast on the number of stitches needed before the short rows and then done everything separately after I was done with and made sure that my shoulder fit was right on. So it stands up a little bit in the front, but I'm not getting that puckering that I was getting before. So I'm really glad that I did the kind of finishing work that I needed to make it a wearable garment, because now it is, and I love it. I love my twigs. This was my birthday cast on from 2023 that I finished before my birthday in 2024, and I really, really love it. And I appreciate all the support and moral support that I got on this project. There was a lot of it from a lot of folks, and I just want to say thank you, because I'm so glad that it is what it is. All right, next up, I made a lace cardigan. This is the Millie cardigan by Irene Lim. And while I didn't finish this in time to wear it for a lot of the summer last year, I did wear it quite a bit at the end of the summer, and I'm so glad I had this garment. I have not put buttons on it yet. I have 2 different sets of beautiful buttons that I'll put on before I wear it next season, I'm sure. But frankly, most of the time that I wear this, it is over dresses, mostly sleeveless dresses or sleeveless shirts. And I usually wear it open. I love it. Part of the reason this is such a great garment for me is also the fiber content. It's out of this world. I wish we could have pet-a-vision so you could feel this. It is from both Floating and Reliquary from A Verb for Keeping Warm, which is a local dye studio and yarn store to me here in the Bay Area. It is truly lovely. It's really, really lovely fiber. I could go on and on and on and on about it. There's the Floating has a bit of cashmere and silk with the merino, and the Reliquary, I believe, is silk alpaca. And it's just so nice, you guys. It's so nice. And what's great too is it's super breathable. I never feel overly hot, but it's a great layering piece, and it's perfect for a chilly evening. You definitely feel it, like it, even though it's very lacy, you definitely feel a lot of warmth from this garment. I also think that it was a real labor of love for me. I did a lot of, I did a construction that was fairly new to me with the lace and the cable together forming the raglan. This was the most lace I've ever done in my life, for sure. I'm sure for most folks it was like looks like a very simple pattern, but this was a lot for me as a fairly new lace knitter. And I love the underarm detail. That mirroring there is just so pretty. And then there's a really nice kind of I-cord slip stitch edging on both sides that goes into the ribbing. And yeah, this was also felt good and different, but it did take a really long time. Well, not a really long time, but for me, it was more of a challenge. And it also wasn't something I was like, oh, I have 5 minutes, or not 5 minutes, but oh, I have 15 minutes before I have to go somewhere, like I can pick up and do a few rows. This was definitely something I had to sit and be very intentional with because of all that beautiful lace. Next up, another cardigan. This is the Turtle Dove cardigan. And again, this for me is all about the feel of the garment. It is a pattern from Sonder yarn, and I do really want to make one in Sonder because I feel like it would have a lot more structure. That said, I wasn't looking for structure with this. I was looking for basically a wearable blanket, and that's what I got. This is knit. You're seeing it here, I'm sure, but I will try to hold it up. It's hard to hold because it is just so incredibly drapey. I made this in one strand of the bunny fiber from Shaggy Bear Farms, which I got at the Rose City Yarn Crawl in 2021. It was a few years ago. It is, or maybe it was 2022. It is so light and so soft and so beautiful. I absolutely adore it. And it's spun with linen. And then I held that with one strand of the gloaming color of Birdie from the Lamb and Kid. So it is just incredibly soft and drapey. I think you can see kind of all of that movement that you get in the fabric, and I just love wearing this around the house. I've worn it also over dresses, and it's truly like the softest, sweetest thing. So love this piece, and I would love to make another one in a more structured yarn, which would make that collar stand up a little bit better, and I think it would make the shoulders fit more substantially. It does kind of move around a lot, but the way that I wear the garment, that's completely fine for me. All right, next, colorwork extravaganza. It's fall, it's colorwork. I have the Celeste pullover. This is by Petite Knit, and this is one of the sweaters I made for Rhinebeck this year. I loved this colorwork. I truly like I'm so happy with the color choices. I wear this really, really often, mostly with jeans on casual days at the gallery or just around on the weekends. It's such a great, I throw it on, I feel super put together and also kind of fun. But it's just it's got a lot of personality, but it's also really presentable. I just love it, and I get great compliments, I have to say, whenever I wear it. So I used 5 colors instead of 4. Again, just because, I love to add a little extra. And all of the colors are mentioned in the show notes and the episode that'll be linked down below. But I use the main color is from and all of the colors, actually, except the main color, are from the Pride and Prejudice collection from Hello Stella Fibers. And I just think they look so incredible together. This one fluffy, really bright cobalt blue is a Ching Fibers Alpaca blend, I think, or Mohair blend, which was just random and I just used for the color. But it was really nice to have a little bit different texture, I think, and I don't think you can tell that it's like a wildly different yarn, even though if you were to hold this, Highland DK hand-dyed yarn skein up next to the Ching Fibers Melted Baby Suri, which is what that cobalt is, you would think they did not belong together in the same universe of yarn. They actually played quite nicely. And yeah, that's my Celeste by Petite Knit. All right, we're getting there, folks. We are getting there. All right, next up we have a colorwork sweater that I do love, that I do not wear as often as I thought I would. This is the Seton sweater by Marie Wallen, and it's another piece that I made to wear to Rhinebeck Sheep and Wool, and I was twinning with my friend Jackie from the Knitting a Good Yarn podcast, as well as a couple other folks that I saw at Rhinebeck wearing this sweater. I am so happy again with the color selection for this. I think that it turned out really nicely. I really love this section here in particular, and then I love the flowers. I think they turned out really well. Things that I did not do great. It's not so much the shoulders as the neckline. So the shoulders don't match perfectly. You can see I was hoping to get like part of a second flower. Like they're not exactly there. Could have done that a little bit better. But I think for me, the main thing that I would do differently is the structure of the collar. It's just, I don't know what it is. Maybe I should have done another couple short rows or brought this in a little bit. I just feel like when I put it on, it creates this really wide, a much wider neck than I feel like fits the vibe of the sweater. And so I also have a hard time. It looks like it shouldn't be worn without anything underneath it, but as soon as I put something on underneath it, then all I can tell is like, oh, I'm wearing a t-shirt under a sweater. I don't know. I know that sounds weird. But for some reason, the neckline, I feel like, is stopping me from wearing this. So, I mean, I did pick up for it. I could totally unpick it and try a different neckline structure, though I'm not sure what that would be exactly. I've also thought about threading an elastic through and just trying to kind of like cinch it in a little bit, and that might give me more coverage up here. The other thing that I could do is reblock it so that so it's more of a scoop, because I feel like that's what's happening. It's not that I miss how wide it is, it's that like the width and the depth don't seem to be in the right relationship. That said, I do love the sweater, and when I do wear it, I do feel really good in it. So I have to just kind of figure that out a little bit better. It's also quite a statement though, so I think part of the reason I don't wear it as much, or I'm kind of fiddling about with this collar nonsense, is because when you put it on, you're definitely like, hi, I'm wearing a very colorful out there sweater. And what's funny is that even though this is a brighter sweater, this feels more kind of not standard, but less announcing oneself as a knitter than this one does. But that's a good thing too. And it is really beautiful. So I'm very proud of the color work too. I think it is a really like great piece. It's also very warm, that double thickness, all in DK. The yarns for this are also in the podcast where I discuss the works, but for the most part, I was using, again, some of the Pride and Prejudice Highland DK from Hello Stella Fibers, and I also mixed in some Pure Gint at a number of places, but part of this was creating that palette and doing so pretty intuitively, and I love that process. So that was a real win for me. Both of those colorwork sweaters were super fun. All right, we're getting there. We're getting close. This is the what should I do next? Oh, you know what? Let's spend some time on. I made so many of these. So the beginner's welcome hat is a hat pattern that I put out last fall. I have been so delighted with its reception. Thank you all very much. We had a really fun kind of end of the year push. I made a discount code for all of my last minute knitters, and I gotta say, a lot of you guys took advantage of it. It was really fun to see. And now there are a bazillion projects up on Ravelry, and people are DMing me about how many they've made. And there's like I don't want to make it a competition, but someone DM'd me at one point and was like, I just finished my 5th. And someone else DM'd and said, I just made my 6th. And so I just thought it was very fun that people are kind of one-upping themselves in my DMs, which is fun for me. But I thought I'd pull out just the 2 that I wear the most. So again, beginner's welcome hat. This one I made in ritual dyes. And most of the samples I made in Ritual Dyes Elder, which is their Rambouillet worsted weight yarn held with a strand of their Mohair. This one was called Faye. And it's knit fairly tight for such a thick weight of yarn so that you get some nice negative ease. This is the adult size 1. No, this is the adult size 2. And it's still a little loose. I can wear the 1, 2, or 3 size. They're all a little, the fit though on all of them is a little bit different. And I like to roll the top. It has that little star-like decrease, as you can see. It's kind of cute. And I wear this pink one all the time. I really love it. Then the next one that I wear all the time as well, that I thought I was going to use as a sample, but now I'm just wearing it. I did something a little bit different, which is not in the instructions, but which one of the folks on Ravelry did as well, which is for this final round of decreases on the hat, I did center double decreases. And so the star points are less, they're kind of all the way in, and then there's a center line instead of it being kind of 2 by 2 even. So you can see there's one kind of large stitch from the middle of each of the 6 sections of the hat. So that was kind of fun and a nice way to spice things up because I have made so many of these. And this I knit in 1 strand of Knitting for Olive Soft Silk Merino and 1 strand of Wolf Folk Luft, and it is the lightest thing. It weighs like nothing. I should actually weigh it. It's light as a feather, and it's so cozy and warm. We had a few folks get pretty sick at our in our house over the luckily never like on the holidays, but just like right before and then like right after. But I have to say, I was not feeling good and I just put this on I wore it around the house. It just made me feel so cozy and comfortable. It has a little bit less because I just used one. This is also the size 2 hat, but I used, because the left is like really fluffy and thick, I used a size 8 needle instead of the prescripted size 7. And so it's just a little bit of a more open gauge as well. It's so nice. But I only used one, what's it called, ball, because I don't think it was a skein yet. One ball of the wool folk, and it really did a good job. But it's not as tall. I just kind of went through till the very, very end, playing yarn chicken with myself on the decreases. So I don't roll this one up, though I suppose I could, and then have it be like just really like right on my head. But I like having a little bit of space, but not too much. And it's still quite something. So this is my neutral version. All my other ones are pretty poppy and colorful. Ritual Dyes is actually doing, maybe I'll link this below too. Ritual Dyes is doing a knit along for all their Rambouillet wools, and they have some amazing prizes. And because the Elder is their Rambouillet wool, if you wanted to knit the hat in their yarn, they have great kits available online. So that would qualify you for their knit along, which looks really fun. Okay, last 3 sweaters? I think so. All right, we're getting there. First, this is kind of a dark horse. I did not think I would wear this all the time. I wear this once a week at least. And this is a whip from not last year, 2024, but this I cast on in 2023, believe it or not. This is my kind of mashup of the Lugenser from that Sandnes Garn Soft for Women catalog as well, with my favorite things, knitwear, her sweater number, what is it? Number 18, excuse me, thank you, sorry. And her sweater number 18. So, from my favorite things to wear. So basically they're both high neck 2x2 raglan sweaters with this really deep raglan, but I used some of the details from each of them to kind of do a mashup, and then I did this split hem. I made the back quite longer than the front. This is my over leggings on the way to yoga sweater was the plan, but it turns out it's my over leggings every day sweater. It's so incredibly soft. I knit this in 1 strand of the cake wool alpaca merino blend, which is a DK weight, plus 1 strand of the Explorer Knits and Fibers, sorry, let me double check the color, Suri alpaca, and I think the color is called the Cliffs of Moher. It's a really beautiful gray with lots of kind of blue in it. And this is actually my first like speckled sweater, I'm pretty sure. And I really like it. It's so fun and it feels so good on. It's just really, really soft. I also quite like my cast on. I did a tubular cast on that feels really good and round. And yeah, I really love wearing this, and I wear it way more than I thought I would. So yeah, that felt like a real win. I went back. Also, it was a great way to kind of, these whips that we kind of, I don't know, this had been a long hibernating whip. The last time I had worked on it before November of 2024 was probably December of 2023. So it had been hibernating quite a long time. And so I feel like part of my love for this project is just being really satisfied that it's done, but then also really surprised at how wearable it is. Huge, huge fan when that happens. Okay, next up, my final cast off for me in 2024 was the Cloud Sweater by Petite Knit. And I do wear this all the time also. I've worn, since it's been finished. I've worn it once a week. I really love it. I've already got the yarn wound up for my next one. I frogged a project at the end of last year, and I'm going to be using that yarn for it. I love it. It's so nice to wear. I will say it's quite casual, but that's really great. Again, wonderful over leggings to and from a workout class or on the school run. And I love the rolled collar. I will say though, this is one where I definitely cannot put my arms above my head. I think I mentioned this in my last podcast too, but yeah, the drop shoulder is very low. And if you raise your arms, like this is basically a bare midriff situation. You could of course knit it much longer than I did. I have it quite cropped. I think to pattern would be an extra 1 inch, but not that much longer. And I do really like the way the neckline falls too. Yeah, it's kind of sporty. I just love it. And I knit this in the Big Birdie from Lamb & Kid. And I think part of the reason I love this sweater and I'm wearing it so much is definitely the color. It's definitely kind of an on-trend color this season. But more than that, it's also a color I don't have anything else like in my wardrobe. So I'm going to be following that a little bit and thinking through that. And it was also a fun and like really straightforward, you know, knit. If you've done other petite knit drop shoulder patterns, you kind of like know her recipe fairly well. There's some nice details that are a little bit different, particularly on the ribbing and the hems, but also it's a nice juicy gauge. It was just a total pleasure. So a quick and fun one there. All right, last one. And these are all like very worn. I did not, you know, do any gleaning or, you know, sweater shaving. I didn't reblock anything. This is just how these are living in my house. And I say house because the last one is not living in my closet. It's living in my 5-year-old son's closet. And it actually, I just noticed, has a little bit of yogurt on it. So you know it's well loved. This is the draft version of my first sweater design, which is going to be called the Curator Sweater. And it's where I kind of played with shoulder construction and the addition of this cable detail that's going down the sides here. I made a number of changes from this version to the final, but it was really nice to have a draft and feel that sense of kind of, not that the stakes were lower, but the stakes were lower. You know, my son is going to be growing and he will wear this for years. This is definitely two sizes probably big for him, but it's perfect because he loves his cozy things. Actually, this is a really sweet detail. When we were traveling over the holidays, we forgot one of his stuffed animals to sleep with, and he instead slept with this sweater as his stuffy and like cuddled it at night. And yeah, for a knitter mom's heart, it was quite something. And as you can see, like the ends are kind of, I need to tuck these in or trim them back a little bit. He wears things hard. He loves them and wears them. But what's great is that this neckline is perfect for him. It doesn't bug him. He has, he's a little particular, but mostly he just loves to be warm. And he loves the weight of it. I knit this in a found yarn from Black Squirrel Fibers that was like in the sale bin. It was a really deep, beautiful red. And then I held that with some of Sonder Yarn's super beautiful punchy red. Their alpaca called Haven. No, the Mohair's Halo, whatever the name of the alpaca lace is. In any case, it's beautiful and he loves red. So yeah, I'm really, really happy with this too. And I'm so glad that he was, because again, incredibly appreciative and knitworthy audience. And that's the last thing I cast off this year. I filmed a little try-on of the curator sweater that's the actual pattern, and I'll put a little sneak peek right here. It's going really well. I'm really happy about it. I have half a sleeve left. My numbers are good. Grading is harder than I thought, and I might need a little bit more support on it, but it's been a really special process. So thank you to everybody who's been watching that and supporting that. And in terms of New Year plans, I already have 2 whips, 2 whips for January that I'm stoked on and a little like nervous about, because of course I gave myself ridiculously ambitious and unnecessary deadlines, but of course I did. And I'm really excited about the curator sweater. I will be doing the call for testers whenever my tech editing back and forth is complete. I'm hoping that that will still be at the end of January, but again, I'm just giving myself the time that I need to make the best and most thoughtful and hopefully super fun pattern that I can. So I hope that that's still the kind of timeline, but I'm not 100% sure, and that's okay. I'm going to just trust the process. Other things happening this year, I'm definitely going back to Rhinebeck. I have been texting with some pals about it already today, and I'm excited about that. I'm also hoping to go to the Rose City Yarn Crawl again, which I did not go to last year. And the year before I went to and got stuck in a snowstorm. But my mom and I took a year off last year, but I really want to go back this year. So I'm really hoping we can make that happen in March. And I'm really glad they moved it to March, because February was definitely very snowy. And what else? I guess that's it, y'all. Thank you so much for joining me for another year of knitty blether and discussion and getting into it all together. I'm so appreciative of this space and of what we do and what we make and being in it as a community. If you would like to know more about what I get up to and what I'm thinking about, and hear about when I do any pattern discounts or test calls, do sign up for the newsletter, Chatty Vibes. The link is in the description box below. I anticipate doing this maybe once or twice a month, and it will be very breezy. It's probably the best way to describe it. The newsletters that I send out for my work in the art world are always very also breezy and chatty, and so I imagine this will be too. And I think with that, I'll call it a day. Thank you all so much for joining me again, and keep putting yourself out into the world one stitch at a time. I can't wait to see what you're working on. Please let me know in the comments below, and subscribe if you'd like to see what I get up to for the rest of the year. All right, happy 2025. See ya. Bye.